Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We've said before about how the SNP seems determined to destroy the rental market in Scotland. It's bringing all these rules in to make it so hard for landlords to rent out their properties that a lot of them are giving up, and the rental sector is shrinking, just at the time when it needs to be growing. It's almost as though it's a deliberate policy to increase homelessness. Well, now they've extended their clause into not just sort of the living rental accommodation, but the holiday and short-term rental accommodation. This will be to the detriment of Scotland, of course, because it means there will be fewer places to rent and therefore fewer tourists. And that's money that Scotland desperately needs. Why are they determined to destroy everything? It seems as though they have a scorched earth policy and they want no one to make any money unless they are making their cut with licensing and registrations and things like that. But it is a damaging effect, and especially in rural economies where tourism is often a lifeline to some of these communities. Anyway, we'll take a look at this article, see what is going on and see why the SNP just cannot help themselves but be utterly destructive. Here goes. So SNP's short-term lets policy will endanger Scotland's economy as tourists face accommodation crisis. And this is the thing, they have to interfere, they have to micro-manage everything. And if you've got a room that you want to Airbnb it, or if you've got a spare property, in a nice area, you think, well, I can put that out and help get tourists into a local area and things like that. You're not allowed to do it. It's your property. Why shouldn't you? It's because the SNP are like the mafia. They want to have their little cut. We'll let you do it. But it's a protection racket, isn't it? We'll let you do it. But, you got to give us a bit of kickback on it. That's what this is. The SNP are organised crime. So the Scottish Government has introduced a harsh new restrictions for short-term lets, which could drive thousands of businesses out of the sector and cause a tourism drought in Scotland. The SNP have been accused of endangering Scotland's economy through pushing forward with this seriously detrimental short-term lets policy. This forces all those who want to offer accommodation to apply to their local council for permission by filling in complex detailed forms. What business is it of the council? What business is it of anyone if you choose to do something with your property? This isn't freedom. This is protection racket. Yeah, you've got to get your license. You've got to pay. You've got to pay because they're desperate for money and they're looking for everything you do that they can tax you on, because they don't, and they want to micromanage. They want to be involved in everyone's affairs. They want to know who, what, when, why, how, everything. Why? Why are they doing this? It was introduced to stop the rise of Airbnbs in tourist hotspots such as Edinburgh and the Highlands. However, those in the industry have argued that it will lead to thousands leaving the sector and a lack of places for visitors to stay due to the new process. Now, all of a sudden, look, we want to get rid of Airbnb because, I don't know, maybe they don't like Airbnb. They've got a gripe against it. It doesn't matter. They've brought in this thing and they've gone bang. And so all these businesses are going. So these little villages here, there and everywhere, dotted all over, think of Oban and things like that rely on tourism as much as anything else, suddenly nobody's coming. The bottom falls out of their economy. They go third world overnight because the SNP has decided they are going to destroy yet another sector of Scottish economy simply because they need to micromanage it and they want their cut. Anyway, this has already been shown on social media, with Taylor Swift fans being knocked back by accommodation providers who are unsure if they will still be going next summer. The policy is due to be brought in by October, but thousands of businesses have yet to even apply. Now, the Scottish Tories have written to the Wellbeing Secretary Neil Gray to highlight their concerns that the policy would cause huge losses to the economy, as tourists will choose to stay away from the country. And it's already been labelled illegal in court. And I'm just going to link to that, because if we come across here, and we did cover this a few weeks ago, this is the judge that ruled that the short-term let scheme was unlawful. I did the video. You can go and have a look at that. And basically saying it was unlawful because of the way they'd gone around doing it. I'm just trying to find out the reasoning where it shows where it is. Yes, it's because it was presumed. That was right. And so, following the judicial review, Lord Braid found the rules around the rebuttal presumption are irrational since they do not support the statutory purpose of the licensing regime, and as such, they are illegal. Basically, what the judge was saying is that this is not licensing for the sake of ensuring safety or anything like that, or the protections. It was simply a money grab. And he said it's illegal. So they're trying to bring this in. It's already been labelled illegal. They've got no leg to stand on. People are refusing to sign up for it. And it could, if they go ahead with it, they could prosecute people. Although the defence there is that they will just say in court, well, actually it's been shown to be illegal in the first place. That's your defence. But wait till you hear the details. Operators even have to spend up to $5,962 just to apply for a 1-year licence, even though they may not receive it, and councils have to accept or deny them, and giving officials even more work to do. Now operators can't even begin trading before they get a licence, so they have to pay nearly £6,000 up front to apply for a licence, which may not be granted, and it costs the councils a lot of time and money to work and process the application, even if it's not going to be granted. And that's money that's got to come out of any money that they make during the short window of tourism opportunity in the summer months, sort of late spring to early autumn months. It will wipe out any profits. And so therefore people are just going to go, no. And then bang, there goes the tourism industry in Scotland. £6,000 up front, whether you get it or not, for 1 year. £6,000 a year. It is a grift, isn't it? It's the SNP looking for grift. The Association of Scotland's Self-Caterers has claimed the policy could cost the economy $133 million and more than 7,000 jobs. It conducted a survey which found that 61% of some 1,200 small accommodation providers said they were considering leaving the sector within the next year. But its letter to Housing Minister Paul McLennan, which offered a dozen measures to mitigate the damaging effects of the policy, which was rebuffed and all the advice rejected. Scottish Tory Shadow Tourism Secretary Murdo Fraser has claimed that the licensing requirements will have negative impacts on tourism and on the wider Scottish economy for many years to come. He said this policy has not just imposed costs on homeowners and curtailed their incomes during a cost of living crisis, it endangers the wider Scottish economy by restricting the accommodation available for tourists and those visiting for other reasons. Some of the motives behind the plan are well intentioned, but it has been badly thought out. Gosh, no. You'd think that something coming from the SNP has been badly thought out and that they haven't looked at the consequences and they fail to understand the implications of anything they say or do. Gosh, tell me it ain't so. It is typical of the SNP government's refusal to listen to those significant concerns because, of course, they can't listen. If they listen, they may have changed their mind, and changing their mind shows they got something wrong. And as we know, the SNP never get anything wrong, and therefore they cannot change their mind. They're omnipotent and all-powerful. All hail the god of the SNP. Anyway, it shows that they were never serious about resetting the relationship with businesses. I've written to Neil Gray, he says, to point out that this policy affects more than housing and will have negative impacts on tourism and the wider Scottish economy. Scottish Government spokesman said, local councils' licensing schemes are in operation across Scotland and many short-term let hosts have already attained licences. But few, very few. Visitors coming to Scotland can already expect to see the benefits of properties being licensed. Why? What benefit to a tourist does it mean having a property licensed? Except that the person who has to pay for the licence has got £6,000 a year less. He needs to make that up by charging more, not a benefit to the tourist. It means he doesn't necessarily have the money available and offhand to make repairs or maintenance or upgrade facilities, thus not benefiting the tourist. The only people I see who benefit are the SNP in terms of tax. Everyone else suffers. And of course, when people stop coming, the whole economy suffers massively. But the SNP don't care about that. They want scorched earth. They want Scotland to be utterly, utterly destroyed. They hate the idea that someone, somewhere, is having a good time or making a couple of pence more than what the SNP think is right for them. and they only want their cut, like a criminal organisation. They said the focus of our licensing scheme is a mandatory set of safety standards that apply to all short-term lets. Those safety standards are already in place in law. It's bullshit argument. So our scheme also gives local authorities the powers to strike a balance between the economic and tourism benefits of short-term lets by addressing community concerns around making sure short-term lets are managed appropriately by operators. That is a meaningless... That's meaningless, because the operators are definitely going to do the best they can to make sure those short-term lets operate properly, because that's how they make their money. The main concern here is there's not enough houses. Oh bless. Have they tried, I don't know, building some? That's not on their cards. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do anything useful, like, let's say, let's go and build, a load more houses for, at low cost. Let's employ people. Let's get employment up by actually having all these tradies coming in and building things. And let's actually provide homes. No. They want to destroy everything they've got. Oh, yeah, look at him running, look at his business. Right, okay, we'll make it so hard he can't rent out that house. Okay, he sells the house. You haven't improved the housing stock, because that house is now owned by someone who doesn't rent. It doesn't help anyone who can't afford a house and needs to rent. Pointless, isn't it? But then everything the SNP do is stupid, pointless, and a fail. And I'm coming up. So once more, the SNP sticking their big fat noses into other people's businesses and getting it so very wrong. And watch as these small places just basically go under in a sea of debt with no economy, shops closing because it's only the tourists coming in the summer that keep some of these bars and restaurants open. It's a harvest, it's a summer harvest for these places. And if there's no tourists, what are they going to do? You can't make your living on the locals. But that's the SNP for you. Deliberate and willful destruction of the economy. Because this isn't accidental. They must obviously know, because they've been told. And yet they still press ahead with it. Because it was our idea and we can't get anything wrong. So therefore we don't listen to you. Well, you got this one wrong. Like you've got everything else wrong. Every single thing. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see in here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and for God's sake, keep visiting. Because these little places absolutely need it. Bye.